Good evening and a very warm welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. It's the 30th of November 2023. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Turu Kakaru. Before we head on to your stories in detail, let's first take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
As Udayana discount, enjoy up to 70% off from Vikramahachi.
Sri Lanka and official creditor committee deal covers $5.9 billion of public debt. President heads to Dubai to attend UN climate change conference. Deshabandhu Tennakon assumes duties as the acting police chief. Two armed men commit multiple crimes in Panadura and Bandaragama within an hour. More than half of Sri Lanka believes local political forces were involved in Easter attacks. Anti-corruption law can impose a 10-year prison term if corruption is found within Sri Lanka cricket, says new sports minister.
Newsfirst Headlines. Main sponsor.
As Udayana discount, enjoy up to 70% off from Vikramahachi.
In our top story this evening, Sri Lanka's Finance Ministry has disclosed certain details of the agreement in principle that was reached with the official creditor committee on the financial terms of debt treatment. The Finance Ministry said that the agreement in principle covers approximately $5.9 billion of outstanding public debt and consists in a mix of long-term maturity extension and reduction in interest rates. It added that the agreed-upon debt treatment terms will be further detailed and formalized in a Memorandum of Understanding between Sri Lanka and the OCC. Thereafter, it will be implemented through bilateral agreements with each OCC member in accordance with their laws and regulations. The Finance Ministry said that the Sri Lankan government looks forward to a prompt implementation of the agreed terms. The statement from the Finance Ministry said that this agreement in principle, together with the agreements in principle reached with the Exim Bank of China, goes a long way in dealing with Sri Lanka's external bilateral debt restructuring. It added that the next steps include finalizing similar agreements with Sri Lanka's remaining bilateral creditors, including Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Kuwait, Iran, together with representing further $274 million of outstanding claims. The Finance Ministry also noted that the government intends to focus on efforts on reaching comparable debt restructuring agreements with external commercial creditors, in particular with its holders of international sovereign bonds. Sri Lanka's Foreign Ministry said that the agreement will facilitate a swift approval by the IMF Executive Board of the first review of Sri Lanka's IMF-supported program, allowing for the next tranche of the IMF financing of about $334 million to be disbursed. The IMF says that Sri Lanka's debt deal with the official creditor committee could help the executive board clear the first bailout review. The global lender said on Thursday that Sri Lanka's in-principle pact with creditor nations to restructure its debt prepares the way for the International Monetary Fund to consider clearing the first review of a bailout next month. The deal comes about a month after Sri Lanka's agreement with the Export-Import Bank of China, covering $4.2 billion of outstanding debt, while clearing the IMF review could trigger a second tranche of about $334 million in funds. Peter Brewer, IMF's mission chief for Sri Lanka, said in a statement that these understandings pave the way for the IMF Executive Board to consider completion of the first review of Sri Lanka's 4-year extended fund facility arrangement. He said that the IMF looks forward to the Executive Board taking up this review by mid-December and the continuation of our productive collaboration with Sri Lanka in the period ahead. The agreement with the group of creditor nations comes about a month after the heavily indebted island nation reached a deal with the Export-Import Bank of China, covering about $4.2 billion of outstanding debt. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said last week that after receiving the IMF funds, Sri Lanka could get further funding from the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank, bringing the total to around $900 million. Sri Lanka's State Finance Minister Shehant Semasinghe informed the Parliament about the next step in the debt restructuring process.
The official creditor committee comprises of 17 countries including India, France and Japan serving as co-chairs. Therefore, the OCC including the Paris Club and China have given us the preliminary agreements with regard to debt restructuring. We hope that following these developments, the executive board of the IMF will approve the second tranche of the program and that it will allow us to stabilize the economy. We believe that we can ensure economic growth in the coming year. We will also be taking forward our discussions with the private creditors as well. This is a historic and crucial moment for us. We believe that we can rise up from bankruptcy in December and secure the second IMF tranche.
මේ බංකොලොත්භාවයෙන් ඉවත් වෙන්නත් ඒ වගේම දෙවෙනි වාරිකය ලබා ගැනීමටත් හැකියාව ලැබෙයි.
ප්‍රතිවේගත කරන ගැන ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම අපි සතුටු වෙනවා. හැබැයි මේ ජාත්‍යන්තරේ හිඟා ගන්න සිද්ධ වුණේ ඕගොල්ලෝ රට බංකොලොත් කරපු නිසා. මේගොල්ලෝ තමයි බංකොලොත් කරුවේ. ලයිට් කඩු වගේ අතීසුවා.
ඔබතුමා දැන් මාස ගණනක් තිස්සේ කතාව කරනවා. විසඳුමක් නෑ ඒකට. මේ ඒතුමා තමයි විසඳුමක්.
රට බංකොලොත් කරලා උදම් බැලුවා අපි ලෑබුණා කියලා. ලොකු වැඩක්.
හරි හරි.
ලොකු වැඩක්.
හරි හරි.
ලොකු වැඩක්. අයියෝ ලැජ්ජ නැතුව ලයිට් කඩු වගේ අතීසුවා වෘතුරක්.
වෙන විවාදයක්.
බදුසාර දුන්නා. අත් දෙකම ඉස්සුවා.
හරි.
ලැජ්ජ නැද්ද?
ඔබතුමාට මේක ගැන කතා කරන්න අයිතියක් නැහැ. ඒකට හේතුව කරු කතානායකතුමනි.
දැන් ආයි විවාදයකට යන්න.
You have no right to speak about this because when the IMF program was moved forward, you opposed it. You also opposed the domestic debt optimization program. The 22 million people would have to suffer again. Their aspirations were destroyed. What we achieved yesterday was a milestone.
මේ ලබාගත් සන්දිස්ථානයත් එක්ක
මෙතුමා කිව්වා අපි විශ්වාස කෙරුවා කියලා දෙවනි වාරිකේ ලැබෙන එකක් නැහැ කියලා. මම මෙතුමා ඉදිරියේ IMF නියෝජිතයට කිව්වා ආණ්ඩුවට අවුරුදු 10ක් කල් දෙන්න කියලා නැහැ කියවන්න. අපි එහෙම තුටි දෙකේ මිනිස්සු නෙමෙයි හොදේ.
IMF එකට යන්න එපයි කියලා.
It was the government in 2020 that turned away from the IMF and said no to the $300 million from the IMF. It wasn't SJB that wanted to give tax relief of 600 billion rupees to the millionaires. It was the SLPP. The Supreme Court has ruled on who led this country to bankruptcy. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Mahinda Rajapaksa, Basil Rajapaksa, W.D. Lakshman, P.B. Jayasundara, Niwad Cabral, Artigala and the Monetary Board excluding 2 members. It's mentioned in the Supreme Court ruling.
කබ්‍රල් ආටිගල සහ මූල්‍ය මණ්ඩලයේ ඔය දෙන්නේ කරන්නේ අනිත් අය. ඒක ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයෙන් තීන්දුවක් දීලා තියෙනවා.
අපි රජයක් ඇටියට ජනාධිපතිතුමා එකතු වෙලා මේක නැවත රට ආර්ථික වශයෙන් ගොඩනගන්න කටයුතු කරලා තියෙනවා. මෙතුමා පැනලා දෙවුවා.
පැහැදිලිව එකක් කියන්නට.
I must make this clear. I am ready to take up the responsibility at any given time, but not with the rogues in the SLPP. We will accept the responsibility with the blessings of the people.
The United Nations Climate Change Conference COP28 will launch a resounding call to accelerate collective climate action. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe left for Dubai, United Arab Emirates, to attend the COP28 World Leaders Summit. COP28 will take place from the 30th of November to 12th of December 2023 in a decisive moment to act on climate commitments and prevent the worst impacts of climate change. UAE has the presidency for COP28 with Dr. Sultan Al Jaber as this year's president. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is spearheading Sri Lanka's delegation to the conference, which is set to tackle pressing climate change issues and to address critical decisions. Sri Lanka is set to launch the Climate Justice Forum during the upcoming COP28 conference and will also make 2 other key proposals. The president, accompanied by 3 ministers and 2 opposition MPs, along with 20 young participants passionate about environmental concerns, will engage in this pivotal conference in Dubai. Acting IGP Deshabandhu Tennakone assumed duties at the Sri Lanka Police Headquarters. The acting IGP was welcomed to the Sri Lanka Police Headquarters by senior officers in the police force. Deshabandhu Tennakone assumed duties following religious observances.
We invoke these blessings on you to function in this post successfully, to introduce a more productive program for the police force and to work towards its development.
Deshabandhu Tennakone, who serves as a senior DIG, was appointed acting police chief for a period of 3 months by the president. The Criminal Investigations Department once again recorded statements from the country's ex-Health Secretary Janaka Sri Chandragupta with regard to the questionable human immunoglobulin delivery to the Health Ministry. The Criminal Investigations Department has recorded statements from 30 individuals, including ex-Health Secretary Janaka Sri Chandragupta, with regard to the questionable human immunoglobulin delivery to the Health Ministry. After providing a statement, the former Health Secretary made the following comments.
In recent times, there was a shortage of medicines across the country. In the absence of sufficient foreign exchange, we were not able to import the medicines and we opted to emergency procurement. We as state officials conducted ourselves in a transparent manner in compliance with the rules and regulations. The statements were provided on those who acted in a fraudulent manner with regard to the medical supplies.
The former Health Secretary was met with strong opposition from a group of activists who visited the CID to file a complaint.
Former Health Secretary Chandragupta was at the CID to provide a statement. How is it that he is not arrested after giving a statement and allowed to leave? Why isn't the CID arresting the masterminds?
More than half the Sri Lankan population, that is 53%, believes that local political forces were involved in the Easter Sunday attacks carried out in 2019, according to a survey commissioned in October by Syndicated Surveys. Syndicated Surveys is a survey instrument by Verite Research, and the polling partner was Vanguard Surveys Private Limited.
Over 50% of Sri Lankans say local political forces were involved in the Easter Sunday attack. 53% believe local political forces were involved. 30% selected the answer which said it was carried out by Sri Lanka extremists who were working with local political forces. And 23% selected the answer which said that it was carried out by Sri Lankan extremists who were working with both local political forces and dangerous foreign forces. Only 8% believed that it was carried out without the involvement of local political forces. A high percentage, 39%, said they have no opinion or refuse to comment.
The controversy surrounding the human immunoglobulin delivery to the Health Ministry was discussed in Parliament during the debate on the expenditure head of the Health Ministry.
2 months ago, I warned Secretary Chandragupta not to get involved in this game with medicine. I told him to allow the doctors to decide. I warned him not to get involved, noting that he would end up in prison. Today, he has gotten himself hospitalized. The end result was that human immunoglobulin produced in a fraudulent manner was delivered. Even India has only 4 production plants for this. I request that you conduct a survey on all those who use this medicine and ascertain their present condition. At the same time, ascertain details of what happened to those who used rituximab drug that was also obtained from the same firm. They might have developed new illnesses after being discharged from the hospital. The production plant is not even registered. The imported medication is also not registered. Yet, officials have allowed this production plant to produce human immunoglobulin. We completely suspended the emergency procurement process. Though the emergency procurement did not take place in a proper manner, when issuing the waiver of registration for non-registered drugs for essential purposes, we followed the WHO parameters and our own parameters. We have informed the NMRA chairman and staff about this as well. We will only follow this accepted process. I would not speak about the human immunoglobulin as it would consume time. There is a file with regard to a documentary that those involved in this produced. The minister will be spared by this. I would like to know know the person from the President's office who ordered the secretary to make the payment for this. The CID investigations must take place properly for this person to be exposed. I will submit all the documents. We are waiting to see what happens.
ඔබතුමාට හම්බෙලා නැති ડોකියුමන්ට් උත් මෙතන තියෙනවා මේ ෆයිල් එකේ සම්පූර්ණ පිටපතක් දෙන්න. සද මේ කූඩුවල ඉන්නවා නම් මේ අය.
The perpetrator roams free. This medication was not imported from India. It was produced in Sidua. Was this not exposed when the health secretary issued a letter to release the blood samples that were stored in the government hospitals and the stores? We need to see that the law is being implemented. Who will end up in prison? I say that the accountant was forced to sign. Innocent people are in prison. The storekeeper is also in prison, but the masterminds are roaming free. The Defense Council says that the mastermind is in parliament. Those paving the way for corruption have done it well.
Two armed robbers carried out multiple crimes in Panadura and Bandaragama within an hour. Crime Watch has the details.
Crime Watch.
Sri Lanka police said that two armed robbers carried out a series of crimes while travelling in a three-wheeler that was reported stolen. The men first struck a SIM card agent in Mahaviharamavatha, Panadura. Police said that they attacked the agent with a machete, injuring his leg, and stole cash and SIM cards worth over 150,000 rupees. The injured SIM card agent was admitted to the Panadura base hospital for treatment. Thereafter, the two criminals had targeted an ATM at a private bank in Bandaragama. They had attacked a man who had visited the ATM to deposit cash with a machete. The man was injured in the hand and the criminals made a getaway with over 150,000 rupees in cash. The suspects had abandoned the three-wheeler in the Bandaragama town and made their getaway on a motorcycle. They had also filled up the fuel tank of the motorcycle by threatening the employees at the Gonaduva filling station while fleeing.
Crime Watch.
The lifeless bodies of a couple were found inside a shop in Settikulam, Vaunia. Sri Lanka police said that the couple's son had visited the shop at around 7 a.m. on Thursday in search of them and had found the lifeless bodies of his parents. The victims were a 72-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman. Sri Lanka police said that around 500,000 rupees in cash was at the shop and the killers had stolen the cash as well. The suspects responsible for this heinous crime are yet to be arrested.
Crime Watch.
A group had broken into a store in Samagipura, Haliyala, and stolen over 100,000 rupees in cash. The thieves had also stolen goods from the store as well.
Crime Watch.
The manager of a hotel in Alakanda, Vattala, was killed on Wednesday night. Sri Lanka police said that four armed men who arrived in a three-wheeler brutally attacked the man, killing him. The Valisara magistrate visited the site and conducted the magisterial inquiry. The victim was a 68-year-old man from Mathura.
Crime Watch.
Today marks day 24 of the 7th edition of the Gum at the Door-to-Door program. Gum at the teams continue to traverse the most remote villages, going right up to the doorsteps of the villagers and identify the issues that they face on a daily basis.
The Gum at the Door-to-Door 2023 program got underway on the 7th of November in the Kalutara, Jaffna and Trincomalee districts. Later, Gum at the teams visited the most remote villages in the Ratnapura, Polonnarua, Gaul, Vaunia and Anuradhapura districts and spoke to the residents of those villages. More Gum at the teams travelled to the Mathura, Mena, Hambantota, Batiklo, Kandy, Mathale and Ampara districts in an attempt to identify the struggles that these people have to endure. From there, Gum at the teams moved on to the Badulla, Kegol, Colombo, Gampaha, Nuarelia, Putlam and Mulattivu districts. And today, Gum at the headed to villages in the Kilinochi, Kurunegala and Monaragala districts.
මේ වගේ දුක්කර ගමන් වලට කොහොමද එන්නේ පෙටන මේ තකලවිල නෑනේ කිසිම කෙනෙක් කියලා නෑනේ දීලා බලතොට අලි හැමදා 6 වෙනකොට එනවා මිනිස් ජීවිත 10 පාරක් නැතු වුණා හරි දුප්පත් මැටිකක් ගෙවල් සල්පත් ගෙවල් තියෙනවා දවල් කන්න ගියාම ලුණුසි බතුයි තියෙන්නේ ඉස්කෝල ළමයාට කැම් වේලක් ගිහලා බලන්න මොන ලුම්සු බතු තියෙනකෝ. එක්ක පළමැල්ම චුට්ටක් මොනවා තියෙන්නේ. අන්න ඒකයි. කොතන උතරක් නෑ. හරි හරි දුකයි. මේ වගේ ගම් වලට බලන්න වතුර බින්දුවක් නෑ. පාරක් නෑ ඉන්නේ. හරි.
This is what the people of Rathrivavar in Buttala told the Gammadda teams when they paid them a visit. Rathrivavar in Buttala is a village that was immersed in darkness due to the 30-year-long civil war.
සමහර දවස්වලට ඉස්කෝලේ යන්න මඩ ඌර වගේ. ඇඳුමේ කුණු ඇඳුමත් තිරිලා. සාපත්තු දෙකක් දායි යන්න බෑ මේ අත් දෙකේ ගෙනියන.
Dilapidated roads, human-elephant conflict, having only one bus to travel to and from the village, and the unbearable cost of living are only a few of the many issues that these people face. The Kaudare Munay village in the Kilinochi district is home to 150 families. Their main livelihood is agriculture and fisheries. The village is located 14 kilometers from Punarin. This village gets flooded during the rainy season. The nearest hospital is more than 10 miles away. The extremely poor state of the roads that lead to the village heavily affects school children as well as teachers. Students of the Siambalava Primary School in Galgamua in the Kurunegala district follow through with their education in the midst of serious threats posed by the human-elephant conflict in the area. The villagers have also been facing the issue of lack of clean drinking water for many years. Tomorrow is the 25th day of the Gammadda door-to-door program, and our teams are ready to meet the people and shed light on their problems that have gone unanswered for many years.
Gammadda, made in Sri Lanka.
Newsfirst, with the people.
The action filed by C Music Publishing Private Limited against MTV Channel Private Limited with regard to the usage of certain musical works on the Voice TV program was taken up before the Commercial High Court today. Counsel for C Music Publishing Private Limited moved the court to withdraw the action on the basis that the party named in the action had been wrongly so named.
President's Counsel Harsha Amarasekara, appearing for MTV Channel Private Limited, stated that there has been an enjoining order in force from July to the end of November, and to come to court today and withdraw the case with liberty to file fresh action would not be fair on the defendant, nor will it cure the injury that has already been caused to the defendant and would deprive the rights of the defendant. Therefore, the President's Counsel, appearing for MTV Channel Private Limited, informed the court that the case should stand dismissed without reservation to file fresh action and subject to incurred costs being paid to the defendant. Accordingly, the judge dismissed the action with costs. President's Counsel Harsha Amarasekara, along with Attorney-at-Law Shehan Gunawardhana and Attorney-at-Law Dulanjana Gamage, instructed by Julius and Creasy, appeared for MTV Channel Private Limited.
Former Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe has been given time until the 15th of December to file objections with regard to a petition that was filed citing that he committed contempt of court via a statement he made to Parliament.
A lawyer had filed an application with the Court of Appeal against former Minister Roshan Ranasinghe, citing that the MP had committed contempt of court via a statement he made in Parliament. The application was called up on Thursday, and Roshan Ranasinghe was ordered by the Court of Appeal to file objections, if any, on or before the 15th of December. The application will be called up again on the 3rd of January 2024. The lawyer who filed the application had noted that on the 8th of November, in his comments to the Parliament, Roshan Ranasinghe, the then Sports Minister, had expressed views that discredit the President of the Court of Appeal.
The opposition leader sought an explanation from the Speaker about filing legal action on comments made in Parliament.
පාර්ලිමේන්තු බලතල හා වරප්‍රසාද පනත.
It will be better to provide a copy of the Parliament Powers and Privileges Act to the Speaker. Legal action has been filed against Roshan Ranasinghe, citing his comments to the Parliament. The provisions of the Powers and Privileges Act were violated in filing this action. As the caretaker of the privileges of the MPs, I would like you to make a clarification with regard to this. Can this be challenged in court?
රට බැඳිලා සිටිනවා. මේකට අභියෝග කරන්න පුළුවන් අධිකරණයේදී. ඔබතුමා කරුණාකරලා උත්තරයක් දෙන්න.
ඒකට උසාවියේ පරීක්ෂා කරලා සුසු තීරණයක් දෙයි වෙයි කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරනවා. මේක සම්පූර්ණ වැරදි නඩුව.
නෑ මම මේ කතා කරන්නේ උසාවිය ගැන නෙවෙයි.
I am not speaking about the court. I am speaking about the Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka and about the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act. So I am asking you to make a statement. Can a lawsuit be filed for statements made in Parliament?
පිටස්තර ගිහිල්ලා නඩු පවරන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒකට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න.
පැහැදිලිවම නොහැකි.
මොකද?
පැහැදිලිවම නොහැකි.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
ඔබතුමාට බලය තියෙන වරප්‍රසාද.
Speaker, you have the power. If a member of Parliament is facing a lawsuit for a statement made in Parliament, you have the power to summon the said member of Parliament to the Committee of Privileges. You have the right.
You have the right.
The Department of Census and Statistics said that Sri Lanka's key inflation rate accelerated in November.
The inflation rate measured for November is 3.4% according to the Department of Census and Statistics, and this is an increase from 1.5% recorded in October 2023. Food prices in November fell 3.6% from a year earlier after declining to 5.2% in October. Prices for non-food items, however, climbed slightly to 6.8% this month after rising 4.9% in October.
As Udayana discount. Enjoy up to 70% off from Vikramaharshi.
The launching of 3 books authored by senior lecturer Dr. Thissa Ravinda Pereira took place at the University of Colombo today. The 3 books authored by senior lecturer of the Faculty of Management and Finance of the University of Colombo, Dr. Thissa Ravinda Pereira, took place today. Several invitees, including the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratne and Secretary of the Ministry of Industries, Thilakajaya Sundara, participated in the event.
We know that we have 22 million population in Sri Lanka, out of which only 8.5% of 5 million of labor force. This 8.5 million labor force, only 2.8% of employers or business owners. In other words, the total number of business owners in Sri Lanka less than 300,000. So therefore, there is a dearth of the large scale, small scale or medium scale businesses in Sri Lanka. We need to increase entrepreneurs. We have to inculcate entrepreneurial culture in Sri Lanka.
In Sri Lanka, we identified in the industrial sector that there are so many academians and researchers. They are doing research and innovations by themselves without consulting the industries. That the industries are in the other side, those industries are suffering, that they cannot do the research and innovation. We all know that in Sri Lanka, the research and innovations, we allocate the expenditure. But at least when we consider about the expenditure we allocate for the research and development, that is around 0.5% from the GDP. Therefore, we want to consider more on enhancing the research and development in the industrial sector.
The books authored by senior lecturer Dr. Thissa Ravinda Pereira focused on the importance of entrepreneurship in the economy. The International Conference on Library and Information Science 2023 commenced at the University of Kelaniya yesterday. The International Conference on Library and Information Science 2023 brings together scholars, practitioners, researchers and professionals from the library and information science domain to explore and discuss innovative approaches and collaborative strategies for re-engaging library and information services. The theme of this year's 2-day conference was Re-engineering Library and Information Service through Collaborative Strategies, a Way Forward. The conference was organized by the Department of Library and Information Science at the University of Kelaniya.
Over the 50 years since the inception of the department, the component of information management has grown immensely beyond, I think, what the initial founding fathers would have envisaged. And that is a result of the information explosion that we have experienced with information technology coming on the scene. And over the last 30 years, the amount of knowledge that is available to us, everybody, and especially academics in particular, has grown exponentially. And one of the big challenges that we all face is figuring out what information to rely on, to depend on, and what we should not take seriously. This applies equally, I think, to lay people and their use of social media, as well as to academics and us in the the university, higher education disciplines.
Today was the last day of the conference. Another leg of Turu Kakaru, a program to increase the reforestation drive within Sri Lanka, designed by Newsfirst with the partnership of Lanka Private Limited, took place at Prince of Wales College, Moratuwa. The Turu Kakaru program at the Prince of Wales College, Moratuwa, was graced by former chairman of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, former Supreme Court Judge Rohini Marasinghe, Chief Operations Coordinator and Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, S.C. Veerasekara, Group Director Legal and Human Resources of the Capital Maharaja Group, Suranga Jalath, among others. This event was organized to coincide with the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Only selfless people can do something good for this world. These trees and the environment are valuable treasures that protect us and give us life. We all know how much of forest cover has been lost in Sri Lanka. My beloved children, we began this movement for you. We launched this project to ensure that trees and the environment are protected for the future generations of our country.
Turu Kakaru certificates were presented to the students, and the event was also attended by the principal of the Prince of Wales College, Moratuwa, Hasita Kesara, and the staff. This event was just one of the many more events that were held in celebration of the 75th anniversary of the signing of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which falls on the 10th of December. Day 57 of the LOLC Davia program took place at the Kalutara and Matugama education zones.
The second leg of the LOLC Davia program will provide school books and stationery items to schools with less than 100 students. Students will be provided with school books and stationery for a period of 1 year under the program. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education. The LOLC Davia program took place at the Kalutara and Matugama education zones. School books and stationery items were distributed to the students at the Girikula Gamunu Kanishta Vidyalaya, Omatta Janapada Kanishta Vidyalaya, Halavakanda Prathimika Vidyalaya, Margalkanda Methodist Vidyalaya, and several other schools. The LOLC Davia program will continue to create a brighter future for the country's student population.
Former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, a legendary figure in U.S. foreign affairs and winner of the Nobel Peace Prize, died late Wednesday, aged 100, in his home in the U.S. state of Connecticut. Henry Kissinger, a diplomatic powerhouse whose roles as a national security advisor and Secretary of State under two presidents left an indelible mark on U.S. foreign policy and earned him a controversial Nobel Peace Prize, died on Wednesday at age 100. Kissinger, who as a youth escaped from Nazi Germany, where he was born, and migrated to the United States, served as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor during the terms of Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford from 1968 to 1976. Kissinger shared the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 with Vietnamese Minister Le Duc Tho for their role in negotiating the Paris Peace Accords that led to the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Vietnam. Just minutes before the agreement was set to expire, sources from Israel and Hamas announced the truce between Israel and Hamas has been extended for a 7th day. Hayam newspaper reported, quoting the Prime Minister's office, that the Gaza Truths was extended after Hamas gave Israel a new list of women and child hostages to be released, quote, a short time ago, unquote. The newspaper added on X that Israel's war cabinet had unanimously decided on Wednesday night that fighting would resume immediately if Hamas did not deliver a new list. Mediating nation Qatar confirmed on Thursday that the truce would continue for another day. As of last night, Sri Lanka's Sports Minister Harin Fernando said that if Sri Lanka cricket is found to have been involved in corruption and other malpractices, as per the country's anti-corruption law, those accountable can be imprisoned for a period of 10 years. A discussion program was organized to coincide with the 10th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Anti-Doping Agency, or SLADA.
ඇත්තටම ගලක් බෙල්ලේ පැදලා මුදල් තල්ලු කරා වගේ වැඩක්. චවුරු ගොඩක් තියෙන තැනකට තල්ලු වීම මගේ උමනාවට වෙච්ච දෙයක් නෙවෙයි.
This ministry is a mess. Everyone is speaking about cricket and I was appointed to solve this issue surrounding cricket. Not a single athlete has qualified for the Olympics next year. It is clear where sports lie in Sri Lanka. Some assume that by changing the ministry, I am here to protect others. I have no intention of protecting anyone. There are sufficient provisions with the anti-corruption law to investigate any malpractices within Sri Lanka cricket and impose an imprisonment of up to 10 years or a fine of up to 200 million rupees. The law is there. The law was passed in Parliament on the 11th of November during a special session. After the law is passed, no sports body can say that it should not be done. The ICC cannot challenge a provision in the sports law and call it political interference. That is the law. We have been suspended by the ICC. They do not like the word interim. There are many issues within the federation. Therefore, all these must change with the sports law. The federations that have elections but no sport must be evaluated and removed. There are 149 votes in the SLC. There are 20 clubs playing the divisions. There will be changes and I am not here to protect anyone. Therefore, come next week, the suspension on cricket will likely be lifted.
The 2023 WBC Muay Thai Championship was held in Colombo recently. Newsfirst was able to meet the latest prospect in the world of combat sports in Sri Lanka, Sangika Udeshani, a winner at this year's WBC Muay Thai Championship. Newsfirst Senita Senanayaka filed this report.
Muay Thai, or the art of 8 limbs, is considered a violent game in the world of combat sports. In the recently held 2023 WBC Muay Thai Championship, the bout between Sangika Udeshani and Natalie De Silva was a fan favourite. Representing Natural MMA Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club, Sangika Udeshani emerged victorious against Natalie De Silva. Aged 25, Sangika's resume consists of impressive wins in boxing since 2012. A boxer turned kickboxer, Sangika is now planning on transitioning to a sport only 2 other women before her have tried in Sri Lanka, MMA.
තව මගේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක වැඩි කරගන්න තමයි මට මගේ එක්ස්පෙක්ටේෂන් එක තියෙන්නේ. ඒකත් එක්ක කොහොමද බොක්සර් කෙනෙක් නැත්නම් MMA ෆයිටර් කෙනෙක්ගේ මයින්ඩ් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ කොහොමද ෆයිට් එකදී කොහොමද මයින්ඩ් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ ඒ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක මට ගන්න ඕනේ ඇත්තටම. කොහොමද කමර්ෂියල් ෆයිට් එකදී ඒ එන එන්වයරන්මන්ට් එකත් එක්ක එතන තියෙන එක්සයිට්මන්ට් එකත් එක්ක කොහොමද මයින්ඩ් එක වැඩ කරන්නේ ඒවා එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් අරගෙන ඉවරලා සයිකොලොජිත් එක්ක කම්බයින් කරලා මගේ කැරියර් එක ඉස්සරහට ගෙනියන්න තමයි මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. මොකද ස්පෝර්ට්ස් සයිකොලොජිස්ට් කෙනෙක් වෙන තමයි මම ටාගට් කරන්නේ.
MMA වලට එනකොට සංගීතයේ තව ඉම්ප්‍රූව් කරගන්න පොඩි දේවල් ටිකක් තියෙනවා. ස්ට්‍රයිකින් එකයි රෙස්ලින් එකයි ග්‍රැප්ලින් මික්ස් කරන ටික මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා සංගීතයට කවුරු හරි හොඳ MMA වලට එයාගේ ස්කිල් එකට හරියන විදිහට එයාගේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එකට හරියන විදිහට ඔපොනන්ට් කෙනෙක් හම්බ වුණොත් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා සංගීතව ඒ තරංගයට යොමු කරන්න.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and good night.